So Nolan Arenado had a pretty drastic down year, pretty surprising for him. Paul Goldschmidt, I guess you could say he had a down year, but his numbers still actually look pretty good.
Right.
Those guys, where are they at with bouncing back?
Yeah, man. The thing with those guys is they're so good at what they do. And also, they're so locked in. I mean, I know baseball, it's a decent amount, but you get in conversation with those guys, and you're just like, oh, that's why you're a future Hall of Famer. Makes sense because you're like going defense. I mean, I have no doubt they're going to bounce back. I know probably one of the most PO'd off people in the locker room last year was Nolan Arenado because he just wants to win. He's a competitor. So cliche. Obviously, everybody wants to win, but there were so many games where he was just mad, right? Just mad that they lost, mad they gave up. He was a big reason why they went out and made some of these moves. He was like, I want to be here, but I don't want to be here and lose, right? So I expect I mean, Goldie was MVP 2 years ago. So, I mean, I guess there's nowhere to go but down for him last season, right? But I mean, I expect those guys to produce. I mean, watching those guys go back and forth in BP, and then also when they're out fielding and Arenado just snags the ball and chucks it across the field almost with his eyes closed, and it's right on the money. It's one of the I took it for granted probably more than I should in seeing him work, but I have no doubt that those two guys will bounce back easily.
So it was just I remember 2021 on opening day, Dylan Carlson was making his big league debut and was such a big piece of the Cardinals. Right now, kind of looks like he doesn't even have a spot in the everyday lineup. Where's he at right
Doesn't
now?
he? Does. I remember last year. So trade deadline day from our perspective was so weird last year because you're like, who's going? And if you remember, Dylan Carlson at the top of the list, the Yankees were on the list of teams that were looking at him. And I remember we saw him in the clubhouse that day. We're like, oh, why is Carlson here? Like, he may get traded today. Like, I can't believe he's here. And then when he didn't get traded, everyone was like, oh, he's staying because people thought he was going to be a piece. Because, I mean, if you look at the roster, they have a lot of, outfielders. Tommy Edman is going to be your center fielder, Walker in left, Newbar in right. So there was essentially you dealt O'Neill, right? It wasn't until the offseason, but you dealt O'Neill. Carlson was another guy you think you'd get someone for. So I was shocked to see him still here. He's a great guy. We love talking to him, and he's also a really good player. Surprised to see that he's still in St. Louis because I feel like he was a piece you can move. But I think he's probably going to come in hungrier after being that chip that was going to be possibly moved. So I'm excited to see with him. But, I mean, with a lot of these guys, and just like Carlson, it's how long can you stay healthy? I mean, Tyler O'Neill's inability to stay healthy is what kind of gave him a one-way ticket out of St. Louis, right? So you hope Carlson, who's younger, can also be successful and kind of show that he can stay healthy and produce at the same time.